Hey, Mike with Nerd Problems Gaming here, the channel where we go through the good and bad of everything nerdy to make sure you spend your time on the best of the best. In today's video, I'll be going through my first impressions of the new Monster Hunter Rise game on Nintendo Switch, so let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is the first impressions of this game are based on the demo that they released. And so in the demo, they say that it's not necessarily the full game that is out right now, but it does give you a good idea of the overall gameplay and some of the mechanics that are new to this game. And so I think it's worth talking about the first impressions I got from that. And so for me, I actually haven't really played a lot of Monster Hunter games in the past. I played Monster Hunter World for a couple hours, but it was very challenging to kind of figure out the mechanics. I was new to the whole series, so kind of learning what was going on and how to navigate the game was pretty challenging. But I always thought that they looked super fun, and it was a game that I wanted to try out and get into. So when they released this, I was excited to check out and see what the game had to offer. And so in the demo, when you play, you get to play a couple different missions where you're hunting down some different monsters. There's a beginner one and an intermediate one, and then there's also a tutorial that you can play when you jump into the game as well. And so the general idea when you play is you can pick a specific monster hunter, and they've got a variety of different weapons. So you have massive swords, axes, a souped up bow and arrow. You can dual wield daggers, and each weapon type really has their own unique style to it. And so I know when I played Monster Hunter World, you kind of created your own character from scratch, and then you could switch those different weapons as you played various hunts in the game. But in this demo version, it just kind of has you select these different types of weapons as you go. And so I'm not sure if that's how the game is going to play out when you actually jump into the full version, or if it's going to have the weapon crafting system and building system like previous games had, and I'm assuming that it probably will. But when you jump into the demo, you definitely have a taste of all the individual weapons and how they work. One thing that I did though that was probably a mistake is I jumped right into the action, and I had no idea what was going on, how to use all the features and controls of the characters. So I think if you're playing for the first time, you definitely want to go through the tutorials of the game, because the battle system can be very complex. And so I think in that sense, it's not very accessible to new players jumping into the game, and it's going to require a lot of hand holding to actually know what the heck is going on. And again, they try and cram in a lot of stuff into this game. So you're using different items that you can cycle through. You've got little companions that come along the way. There's kind of like a cat and a dog that you can work with. There's also various monsters that you can be hunting, and huge ones across the plains or wherever you're running through in the specific mission. There's also items you can pick up everywhere. There's little creatures that you can run into that will give you boosts to your attack power, your stamina, your health, various things as you go. So it is a really complex game, and so that's cool. I think once I really get some time into playing the game and learning the mechanics, it's going to be very satisfying and addicting and rewarding to play. And that's one aspect that I liked with the game too, where you are taking down these massive beasts and monsters, and they don't just die instantly, right? You have to strategize, you have to plan out your attack, you have to whittle down their HP as you go, and it can be quite a task to take down these monsters. And so I don't know if the other Monster Hunter games had this, but it's pretty cool where you could actually set traps for these monsters and then climb on top of them and ride them and actually use them kind of as weapons against other monsters that you're fighting. And so if you attract certain monsters to the bigger monsters, they kind of fight it out and battle it out kind of without you actually even doing anything, but you can jump into the fray as well, ride the smaller monsters, attack the bigger ones, jump from the smaller monsters onto the bigger ones. And so it's a really cool dynamic and mechanic playing the game. But like I said, it's not very easy to pick up and learn. But once you start to master these strategies, it becomes a lot of fun and super addicting. Now, since it was the demo, there wasn't really any storyline to speak of, so we'll have to see what that really is all about when the full game comes out. I think the mechanics of the gameplay, though, are really solid and worth checking out. Another cool additional feature, like I had briefly mentioned, was you have a new dog companion, and so this adds a new dynamic to the gameplay as well, where you can ride the dog around to basically get around the levels faster. You can even use items when you're riding the dog, so to kind of run away perhaps and heal yourself, or to repair your weapons when things are getting too intense. It gives you that option, but then you can also attack with the dog as well, which is pretty cool, or use the dog to really launch yourself into the fray, coming in at full speed. So I think that's going to be a cool new feature to this game, and I'm excited to check out that more as I play the game as well. One thing I'll say that was maybe a little bit disappointing was I didn't really feel that the graphics were as good as they potentially could be. Maybe it's just because it's on the Nintendo Switch and it's not maybe as powerful as other systems out there right now. But I kind of felt like the graphics were a little bit of a downgrade compared to Monster Hunter World that did come out a few years ago on the other systems available right now. And so again, I'm not a huge graphics person that's a deal breaker by any means, but it's just something to be aware of. They don't necessarily look as good as some of the other Monster Hunter games that are out right now. But I think the gameplay and the battle mechanics are really where this game shines. And so I think that's going to still hold true in this new Monster Hunter Rise game. I really want to check out the other games in the Monster Hunter series as well after getting a chance to play this game. It seemed like a lot of fun, super addicting, and definitely rewarding when you're finally able to take down those massive monsters in this game. But let me know in the comments below, have you played this game yet? Have you tried the demo out? Are you a huge fan of the other Monster Hunter games? Which one should I start with if I'm playing the series for the first time? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to chat about it more with you there. If you guys like this video, be sure to smash that like button as it really helps out the channel. If you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe and turn on those bell notifications to get the latest updates of new nerd videos we put out. If you'd like to help us support the channel, pick out content and more, become a patron of ours at nerdproblemsgaming.com/Patreon. And if you'd like to plug into our live streams and Let's Plays we do on the channel, you can follow us at nerdproblemsgaming.com/Twitch. But once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you more soon.